This is another classic fairy tale. This one is called The Frog Prince. I expect you know this one already. There was once a little princess who had 7 sisters, but they were all older than her and quite grown up, so every day she had to play in the palace gardens all by herself. One day she was playing with her favourite toy, a lovely golden ball that sparkled when she tossed it in the air, but the ball fell splash into the lily pond. The little princess was upset and she began to cry. And then she heard a strange, croaky voice say, "I will find your ball, but you must give me something in return." She looked around and saw a frog sitting on a watery leaf. "Frog," she said, "I'll give you anything if you want if you fetch my ball. My necklace, my bracelet, anything." "I do not want your necklace or your bracelet," said the frog. "I only want you to promise to be my friend and let me eat from your plate and sleep on your soft bed." The princess didn't like frogs. She didn't like their bulgy eyes and their cold, damp skin. I don't really blame her. But she thought, he's only a silly frog and I won't ever see him again. So she said, "I promise." Then the frog dived into the pond, and a few minutes later he came swimming back with the golden ball and threw it on the grass. The little princess picked it up. "Thank you, frog," she said, and then she turned round and ran off. "Eh, wait for me," called the frog. "I can't run fast like you, I can only jump." But the little princess ran even faster. That evening, the king, the queen, the 7 grown-up sisters and the little princess were sitting in the dining room eating their supper when they heard a strange noise. Kerplump, kerplump, kerplump. Something was coming up the marble staircase. There was a knock at the door and a croaky voice cried out, "Little princess, open the door and let me in." The king stopped eating. The queen stopped eating. The 7 grown-up sisters stopped eating and they all looked at the little princess. She jumped up, ran to the door and opened it, and there it was, the frog. As soon as she saw him, she banged the door shut, ran back to the table and sat down. "Who was that knocking at the door?" asked her father, the king. "It was a frog," she said. "And what does Mr. Croaky Water Splasher want from you?" he asked. So she told the king all about her golden ball and the promise she had made. "My little princess," said her father, "you must always keep a promise. Now open the door and let him in." She walked slowly to the door and opened it, and the frog came jumping into the room. When he reached the table, he said, "Please lift me up." "Ugh," said the little princess. She didn't want to touch the frog. I don't really blame her. "Remember your promise," said her father. So she lifted the frog with one finger and one thumb and dropped him onto the table. "I can't reach your plate," said the frog. So she pushed her plate closer to the frog and he began to eat. "Ugh," she said. She was not going to eat from the same place as the frog. Guess what? I don't really blame her. When the frog had finished eating, he said, "Little princess, please carry me up to your bed." "No, I won't," she said. "I don't want to carry you." "Remember your promise," said her father. So the princess lifted the frog with one finger and one thumb and carried him up to her bedroom. Then she dropped him on the floor in the corner furthest away from her bed. "Remember your promise," said the frog. "You must let me sleep on your bed." So she lifted the frog with one finger and one thumb and dropped him on the bed right at the bottom. "Please," said the frog, "I would like to sleep on your pillow." "No," she answered, "I did not promise that. You must stay at the bottom of the bed." Then she climbed into bed and fell asleep. The next morning when she woke, the first thing she saw was the frog. He was sitting on his pillow, staring at her with his bulgy eyes. "Ugh," she said, and she grabbed hold of him and threw him off the bed. And the frog hit the wall. He fell on the floor and lay there quiet and still. I'm feeling a bit bad for the frog now. The little princess was upset. She hadn't meant to hurt the frog. She climbed out of bed, picked him up and stroked him. "Poor frog, please don't die," she said. And then she kissed him, and the frog was gone. And there was a prince, a very handsome prince. He said, "Thank you, little princess. You have set me free from a wicked witch's evil spell." And he told her his story, how one day he was riding through a forest, a witch had caught him and changed him into a frog, and how only a kiss from a princess could change him back into a prince again. Well, after that, the princess and the frog really did become good friends, and when she grew older, they married and lived happily ever after.